السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله على إحسانه وشكر له على تفضله وامتنانه، ولا إله إلا الله تعظيما لشأنه، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله داعي إلى رضوانه وعلى آله وأصحابه وإخوانه. أما بعد. Ikhwani, we'll continue our lecture series regarding the state of the people on the Day of Judgment. We spoke previously about the state of the kuffar on the Day of Judgment. We spoke previously about the state of the sinful Muslims. And today we shall talk about the pious Muslims, the true believers of Allah Azza wa Jal. What will their state be on the Day of Judgment? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, ثُمَّ أَوْرَثْنَا الْكِتَابَ الَّذِينَ اصْطَفَيْنَا مِنْ عِبَادِنَا فَمِنْهُمْ ظَالِمٌ لِنَفْسِهِ ومنهم مقتصد ومنهم سابق بالخيرات بإذن الله ذلك هو الفضل الكبير. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has divided the believers into three groups. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says the first group is ظالم لنفسه. They are the Muslims who wrong themselves. They commit a lot of sins and they shall be purified in the graves or on the Day of Judgment or in the hellfire. Then the second group he says muqtasid. He says that those who are in the middle. Then he speaks about a third category, that's a better category. He says, سَابِقٌ بِالْخَيْرَاتِ بِإِذْنِ اللَّهِ. That those are the people who compete with each other when it comes to their righteous deeds. Ikhwani fillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says to us, how does a believer, how is his soul taken by the malaika when the malaika are sent? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ قَالُوا رَبُّنَا اللَّهُ ثُمَّ اسْتَقَامُوا تتنزل عليهم الملائكة ألا تخافوا ولا تحزنوا وأبشروا بالجنة التي كنتم توعدون نحن أولياؤكم في الحياة الدنيا وفي الآخرة. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that when you as a Muslim, your soul is about to be taken by the Malakul Maut, you're in a state of fear. You fear, what are you going to be taken towards to? What is there that you're going to see? What is there in the grave, in the barzakh, in the Day of Judgment? You fear what is before you. And you also fear what is behind you. You fear for your family, your children, your wives, your parents, your business. You fear. You have those two fears. Fear for the future and fear for what you are leaving behind. So the angels, they come, they give you tumanina. They give you serenity. They calm you down. They say, لا تخافوا. Do not fear what you're going to see. ولا تحزنوا. Do not grieve what you have left behind. وأبشروا بالجنة التي كنتم توعدون. And get the true promise of Jannah that you have been promised. This is when you're dying. Also on the day of Qiyamah, ikhwani fillah, when you come on the Day of Judgment, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ سَبَقَتْ لَهُم مِّنَّ الْحُسْنَى أُولَٰئِكَ عَنْهَا مُبْعَدُونَ. He says, Allah Azza wa Jal, that the one who the good word has preceded for them, that they are going to be rewarded. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, لَهُم مِّنَّ الْحُسْنَى, that they have good from us, أُولَٰئِكَ عَنْهَا مُبْعَدُونَ. They shall be kept far from the hellfire. أُولَٰئِكَ عَنْهَا مُبْعَدُونَ. They shall be kept very far from the hellfire. لَا يَسْمَعُونَ حَسِيسَهَا وَهُمْ فِي مَا اشْتَهَتْ أَنفُسُهُمْ خَالِدُونَ. They will not hear the sound of the hellfire, and whatever they desire on that day they shall be given. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, لَا يَحْزُنُهُمُ الْفَزَعُ الْأَكْبَرُ وَتَلَقَّاهُمُ الْمَلَائِكَةُ هَذَا يَوْمُكُمُ الَّذِي كُنْتُمْ تُوعَدُونَ. Allah says, لَا يَحْزُنُهُمُ الْفَزَعُ الْأَكْبَرُ. These people, on that day, they shall not have any fear. They shall not be terrified. They shall not be in a state of horror. لَا يَحْزُنُهُمُ الْفَزَعُ الْأَكْبَرُ. The day there's a lot of fear. وَتَتَلَقَّاهُمُ الْمَلَائِكَةُ. And the angels will meet them. هَذَا يَوْمُكُمُ الَّذِي كُنْتُمْ تُوعَدُونَ. This is the day that you were promised. Ikhwani fillah, we mentioned previously the Day of Judgment is very scary. But there's a group that they're not going to be scared. On these days, إِنَّمَا يُؤَخِّرُهُمْ لِيَوْمٍ تَشْخَصُ فِيهِ الْأَبْصَارِ. The day the eyes will be staring in fear, in horror. What is all this that is happening, O Allah? What have you brought to us, O Allah? A day that is equivalent to 50,000 years. A group Who is this group, Ikhwani fillah? These are the believers. These are the ones who feared Allah Azza wa Jal. These are the awliya of Allah. Ala inna awliya Allahi la khawfun alayhim wa la hum yahzanun. They are the ones, the awliya, the friends of Allah Azza wa Jal. La khawfun alayhim. They will not have any fear. They will not grieve. وَلَا هُمْ يَحْزَنُونَ. They will not feel any sadness on that day. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, ألا إن أولياء الله لا خوف عليهم ولا هم يحزنون الذين آمنوا وكانوا يتقون. They are the ones who in this world they believed. وكانوا يتقون, and they were the people of taqwa. They were the ones who, when it comes to obligation of Allah Azza wa Jal, they did. When it comes to whatever is haram, they kept away from it. لهم البشرى في الحياة الدنيا وفي الآخرة. They shall be given glad tidings in this world and hereafter. Ikhwani fillah, there are people in this world, they تتجافى جنوبهم عن المضاجع. They do not sleep at night. Why do they not sleep at night? They spend their days fasting, and they spend their nights in fear, in prayer, in qiyamul layl, fearing that day that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has promised them. إِنَّا نَخَافُ مِنْ رَبِّنَا يَوْمًا عَبُوسًا قَمْطَرِيرًا. We fear a day that is difficult, hard, and the face will become horrifying on that day. This is the believer. This is the pious Muslim. He is preparing for the day of judgment. And he's done all this preparation. Like that sheikh who passed away in Egypt a few days ago. That sheikh, may Allah have mercy upon him, used to pray 18 juz in the Qiyamul Layl. There's a time he prays from Surah Taha after Maghrib, and he finishes at Fajr Surah An-Nas. He finished the Quran over 2,000 plus times in Taraweeh, in Qiyamul Layl in his mosque in Egypt. He passed away. The news was shocked. Who is this man? His janazah is being attended by tens of thousands of Muslims. We in Kenya, most of us do not know him, but the people of Egypt know him, Sheikh Usama. He died in Egypt a few days back, and the people who came for his grave or his janazah, some of the people in the news, they said this funeral is even greater than the funeral of the President Jamal Abdel Nasser when he was assassinated, the former leader of Egypt. Who is this man that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala elevated him because of the fear of Allah Azza wa Jal? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَوَقَاهُمُ اللَّهُ شَرَّ ذَلِكَ الْيَوْمِ وَلَقَّاهُمْ نَظْرَةً وَسُرُورًا وَجَزَاهُمْ بِمَا صَبَرُوا جَنَّةً وَحَرِيرًا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will protect you, O believer, O pious Muslim, for all the fear that you have had, for all the siyam, all the qiyam, all the sadaqah, all the khayrat that you have done. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will protect you from the evil of that day. وَلَقَّاهُمْ نَظْرَةً وَسُرُورًا. And He will cover your face with brightness. Your face, ikhwani fillah, will become bright. You'll have light. وَسُرُورًا, wa happiness, joy, glad. You're happy. All those days I missed sleeping. All those days I stayed hungry, thirsty. It was for this day I prepared. All that haram, all those girlfriends I left, all that time Instagram and Snapchat and all this shaytaniyat I left for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal. Man taraka shay'an lillah awadahu Allahu khayran min. Whoever leaves everything or anything for the sake of Allah, Allah grants him something better. This is the day this believer has been given security. He's in peace. Ikhwani fillah, you want peace on the day of judgment? Then you should have fear on this day. For whoever has fear in this life will be secure on the day of judgment. And whoever is secure in this life will be fearful on the day of judgment. Look at Nabi Ibrahim alayhi salam. He says to you people, وَكَيْفَ أَخَافُ مَا أَشْرَكْتُمْ وَلَا تَخَافُونَ أَنَّكُمْ أَشْرَكْتُمْ بِاللَّهِ مَا لَمْ يُنَزِّلْ بِهِ عَلَيْكُمْ سُلْطَانًا فَأَيُّ الْفَرِيقَيْنِ أَحَقُّ بِالْأَمْنِ إِن كُنتُمْ تعلمون الذين آمنوا ولم يلبسوا إيمانهم بظلم أولئك لهم الأمن وهم مهتدون. Ibrahim alayhi salam, he asks his people, how will I be afraid of this? Your own creation, you created something and you're worshipping it, and you want me to fear what you have created with your own hands. This salam, oh dad, you've created this idol to worship and you expect me to fear it. I do not fear the Lord of all the worlds who did not give you permission to worship this. Who is going to be more secure, dad, me or you? No, the one who has iman. وَلَمْ يَلْبِسُوا إِيمَانَهُمْ بِظُلْمٍ. They did not mix their faith with any form of shirk or any form of oppression أولئك لهم الأمن وهم مهتدون. They're the ones who will be secure and they are the ones who will be guided. Ikhwani fillah, we mentioned that this is the day of judgment. And the people are divided into three groups. ثم أورثنا الكتاب الذين اصطفينا من عبادنا فمنهم ظالم لنفسه ومنهم مقتصد ومنهم سابق بالخيرات بإذن الله. Let us talk about this third level of believers. Ikhwani fillah, when it comes to any issue of dunya, the smart Muslim, he knows he does not rush. Someone comes and he wants to marry her, he wants to marry your sister, he wants to marry your daughter. Do you just tell him, I have Iman, take her? No, you have to go research. Where is the family? What is his character? Which mosque does he pray at? We say if you want to know the good brothers, ask the mosque. So they come ask, you go research. Then after a process, you say, take this girl, I have given you my daughter or my sister as your wife. You've done your research. Someone wants to bring a business proposal. There's a good business. You need $10,000 to do this business. You just give them money. No. What is the projected income, expenses, the turnover, the regulations behind required? You look at a lot of factors before you make any decision from a decision of dunya. Are we together? When it comes to the affairs of the day of judgment, you're preparing for this day that is ثقيلة, يوم ثقيلة, that is a heavy day, a difficult day. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, سارعوا سابقوا فاسعوا انفروا. You rush, you hasten, you run very fast, you compete with each other, ikhwani fillah, in the doing of good deeds. Why, ikhwani fillah? That day is a difficult day. It is a day that is terrifying. And none of us know if we'll be secure on that day except what our deeds and what we put forth to harvest on that day. Are you together? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وَسَارِعُوا إِلَى مَغْفِرَةٍ مِّن رَبِّكُمْ وَجَنَّةٍ عَرْضُهَا السَّمَاوَاتُ وَالْأَرْضُ أُعِدَّتْ لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, rush, run towards the Jannah, towards a paradise that's as wide as the heavens and the earth, prepared for the muttaqin. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, سَابِقُوا إِلَى مَغْفِرَةٍ مِّن رَبِّكُمْ وجنة عرضها كعرض السماء والأرض أعدت للذين آمنوا بالله ورسله. Rush, run, ikhwani. When it comes to good deeds, you do not waste time. You do not think twice when it comes to affairs of dunya, for affairs of akhirah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says to us, the people when they enter Jannah, they say, لِمِثْلِ هَذَا فَلْيَعْمَلِ الْعَامِلُونَ. The people who have passed us, they have gone to Jannah, a number of them. They say to us, we should act like they acted. لِمِثْلِ هَذَا فَلْيَعْمَلِ الْعَامِلُونَ. They say to us, وَفِي ذَلِكَ فَلْيَتَنَافَسِ الْمُتَنَافِسُونَ. People should compete when it comes to the affairs of akhirah. سَابِقُمْ بِالْخَيْرَاتِ. That is how the Muslim is. The Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says about the prophets, إِنَّهُمْ كَانُوا يُسَارِعُونَ فِي الْخَيْرَاتِ وَيَدْعُونَنَا رَغَبًا وَرَهَبًا وَكَانُوا لَنَا خَاشِعِينَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says about the prophets, they used to compete with each other when it comes to good deeds. Those are the prophets. They have been promised the highest levels of Jannah. مع ذلك يسارعون ويتسابقون فيما بينهم على الخيرات. They are competing when it comes to good deeds. What about myself and yourself? You have someone, one day the Prophet ﷺ is sitting in the mosque, Fajr time. He says to the Muslims, Man asbaha minkum al-yawma sa'iman. Who amongst you woke up on this day fasting? All Muslims are there, competition. Abu Bakr says, I woke up fasting today. He asks us a question, alayhi salam. فَمَنْ تَبِعَ مِنْكُمُ الْيَوْمَ جَنَازَةً. Who amongst you followed a funeral today? It's Fajr time. He says, Ana. The only person who replies from Sahabas is Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. He says, Ana, Ya Rasulullah. I followed a funeral procession. Question number 3 asks, فَمَنْ أَطْعَمَ مِنْكُمُ الْيَوْمَ مِسْكِينًا. Who has fed a poor person today? Abu Bakr, from all the Sahabas, he says, Ana, Ya Rasulullah. I did so. Then he asks question number 4, فَمَنْ عَادَ مِنْكُمُ الْيَوْمَ مَرِيضًا. Who has visited a sick person today? Says Abu Bakr, Ana. All 4 things. The only person in that presence, there's Ali, there's Uthman, there's Umar, Abdurrahman bin Auf, they're all those Sahabi. But the only person who's answering is this Siddiq al-Ummah, Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radhiallahu anhu. All 4 questions, fasting, janazah, feeding a poor person, visiting a sick person, the Prophet ﷺ was impressed. He says, مَجْتَمَعْنَا فِي امْرِئٍ إِلَّا دَخَلَ الْجَنَّةِ. These actions are not present in a human being or a man except they shall enter paradise. Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radhiallahu anhu is amongst the people of Jannah. The scholars, they say, Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radhiallahu anhu did not compete or win us because of a lot of salah that he had, a lot of siyam that he have, but بِشَيْءٍ وَقَرَ فِي قَلْبِهِ, because of the iman that he had in his heart, he defeated all of us, that he is the best person after the prophets of Allah Azza wa Jal. That is Siddiq al-Ummah, Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radhiallahu anhu, competing. Umar radhiallahu anhu, number 2, best. But one day he says to himself, I've always tried competing with Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radhiallahu anhu, but I've never defeated him in this race to the day of judgment. The race of Akhirah, I want to be number 1 for once. Always Abu Bakr is number 1. Then the Prophet ﷺ, one day he calls the Muslims, he says, the Romans have come to attack us. The battle of Tabuk is before us. Year 9 of the Hijri calendar. He says, O Muslims, gather your wealth, bring your wealth. Tasaddaqu fi sabilillah. Bring your wealth, we fight the Romans. We need wealth to fight this a'da. So Umar, he says to himself, Al-yawma asbiqu Abu Bakr in sabaqtuhu yawman. He says, today I shall defeat Abu Bakr as-Siddiq if I was going to defeat him any day. He goes to his house, he takes all his wealth. How much wealth do I have? X amount. Divide by 2. He divides his wealth in the middle, by half. And he brings it to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Prophet ﷺ is impressed. He says, Ya Umar, ma abqayta li ahlik. What have you left for your family? He says, abqaytu lahum mithlah. I have left for them the like of it. The same I've given you is the same I've left for my family, equal. All that time he is happy. He says to himself, Al-yawma asbiqu Abu Bakr in sabaqtu yawman. He says, Wallahi, today is the day I defeat Abu Bakr. If there was a day I defeat Abu Bakr in this, the race to Akhirah, the race to having Amn on the day of judgment, this is the day. وأتى أبو بكر الصديق رضي الله عنه بكل ما عنده من مال. Abu Bakr as-Siddiq رضي الله عنه comes with all his property. فقال له رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم عليه الصلاة والسلام says to him, يا أبا بكر ما أبقيت لأهلك. What have you left for your family, O Siddiq? Oh Abu Bakr, what have you left for your family? He says to them, أبقيت لهم الله ورسوله. I have left for them Allah and His Messenger. Nothing from dinar or dirham, from the gold coins or the silver coins, I have left for my family. Allah and Rasul are sufficient for my family. He gave out all his wealth in sadaqah. When you compete with Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, how many times have you given all your wealth out in sadaqah? That is Siddiq al-Ummah. Number 3, who comes number 3? Uthman ibn Affan radhiallahu anhu. The same battle, the battle of Tabuk. The Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, يحث المسلمين على النفقة. Give sadaqah fi sabilillah. Who's going to give? He's standing on the minbar. Give. Uthman radhiallahu anhu, he says, Ya Rasulullah, علي 100 بعير بأحلاسها وأختابها في سبيل الله. I pledge, I'm going to give 100 camels fully stocked with their saddles and their water skins fi sabilillah. Prophet ﷺ continues asking the Muslims, who is going to give sadaqah fi sabilillah? Uthman stands up again and says, Ya Rasulullah, علي 100 بعير بأحلاسها وأختابها في سبيل الله. Oh Prophet, I give 200 camels fully stocked with their saddles fi sabilillah. Ikhwani, sometimes we mention camels, we mention dinar and dirham, people don't understand. A camel is in Kenya right now is minimum how much? $1,000, 120,000 Kenyan shillings. Between $1,000, some camels can reach even $1 million plus. So someone is giving 200 camels. That's how much at least? $200,000 in one sitting. $200,000 Uthman is giving in one sitting, just for you to understand. Minimum of $200,000 plus. The Prophet ﷺ continues, give sadaqah fi sabilillah. Who stands up again? Uthman. He says, Ya Rasulullah, علي 300 بعير بأحلاسها ويقطابها في سبيل الله. Oh Prophet, I'll give 300 camels, fully stocked with their water skins and their saddles, fi sabilillah, in the way, in the path of Allah Azza wa Jal. The Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam is impressed. He says, Allahumma arda al-Uthman فإني عنه راض. Oh Allah, be pleased with Uthman, I am indeed pleased with him. Oh Allah, be pleased with Uthman, I am indeed pleased with him. Uthman is not content. No, still I've not given enough. I've given 300 camels, which in our time is equivalent to $400,000 in one sitting. That's about 50 million Kenya shillings. In one sitting he has given Ikhwanifillah. He goes back home, Ali radiallahu anhu, collects all the gold he has, 1,000 gold coins. And he comes, فَيَصُبُّهُ or فَيَصُبُّهَا فِي حُجْرَةِ النَّبِي صلى الله عليه وسلم. He brings it and pours it in the house of the Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام. 1,000 gold coins. Again, how much is a gold coin? About 4 grams. 1,000 gold coins times 4,000 grams. A gram is about 7,000 shillings. 4,000 times 7,000, 28 million Kenyan shillings. About $250,000 again in gold. Just for you to understand. He brings it and pours it out. Alayhi salam. Alayhi salam ja'ala yuqallibuha biyadi. He turns it with his hand and says, Ma darra Uthman ma amila ba'da al-yawm. Ma darra Uthman ma amila ba'da al-yawm. It does not harm Uthman whatever he does after today. It does not harm whatever he does after today. These are the people who purchased their Jannah when they were in this dunya. They purchased their space, they booked their space until they were known as the people who were walking and amongst the people of Jannah, and they're walking on the street. The generation that came after them, the Tabi'een. The scholars, they say, كان في التابعين 30 تابعيا لو قيل لأحدهم إن القيامة ستقوم غدا لما استطاع يزيد شيئا. Amongst the Tabi'een, Ikhwani Fillah, there are 30 people. It was said to them that the day of judgment is going to be established tomorrow. They will not be able to add anything from their deeds. Yadi, their timetable is completely full. If I was told, or you were told, that you're going to die next week, or the day of Qiyamah is in 2 weeks, what are you going to do? Tell me. You're going to build a mosque? You're going to go 10 umrahs, 20 hajjas, whatever you're going to do. You're going to fast every day. You're going to ask forgiveness. You have a big timetable. Those guys, their timetable was full. So amongst them, Hammad ibn Salam ibn Dinar, rahimahullah. When it comes to scholars of hadith, there are 2 scholars. There's Hammad ibn Zayd and there's Hammad ibn Salama. Hammad ibn Salama is greater than Hammad ibn Zayd in ibadah. But Hammad ibn Zayd is greater than Hammad ibn Salama when it comes to the knowledge of hadith. This Hammad ibn Salama, radiallahu anhu, you will not find him any time where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is to be obeyed, except you will find him obeying Allah Azza wa Jal. If it is the time for salah, you will find him praying. Question. If it is a time for salah, you will find him praying. What does this mean? It's a time for Salatul Isha or Maghrib or Fajr or Asr or Dhuhr. La. It is a time where salah is accepted or it's allowed. It's not haram. You'll find him praying. You'll find him praying between Ishraq until the time of Zawal. You'll find him after Zawal, which is prohibited, praying until the time of Asr. After Asr, he does not pray. After Maghrib, he'll pray until the time of Isha. After Isha, until Qiyamul Layl, until as much as he prays, then he can sleep. Every time you'll find him obeying Allah Azza wa Jal, either with prayer or tasbih or tahleel. This man, Ikhwani Fillah, he died in salah, in sujud. Hammad ibn Salam ibn Dinar. On the day of judgment, he's going to be resurrected in a state of sujud. Other people, Ikhwani Fillah, you have someone called Abu Muslim al-Khawlani rahimahullah. He says, أَيَظُنُّ أَصْحَابُ مُحَمَّدٍ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وسلم يَسْبِقُونَ عَلَيْهِ. Do the companions of Prophet Muhammad think they have left us on the day of judgment, that they shall be given all the rewards? Wallahi, لَأُزَاحِمَهُمْ حَتَّى يَعْلَمُوا أَنَّهُمْ خَلَّفُوا بَعْضُمْ رِجَالًا. Wallahi, we'll crowd them, we'll push ourselves through until we come in front and they know they truly left behind themselves men, quality men. This is how the righteous Muslims were, Ikhwani Fillah. You have someone like Abdullah ibn Mubarak al-Marwazi rahimahullah, one of the great scholars of Islam. He was born in the year 118 of the Hijri calendar. He died in the year 181 of the Hijri calendar. He died at the age of 63. We mentioned this benefit before, but we don't know what it means. The Prophet ﷺ died when he was 63. Abu Bakr died when he was 63. Umar died when he was 63. Aisha died when she was 63. Abdullah Mubarak al-Marwazi, 63. Imam Bukhari, 63 minus 1 week. So many great people died at the age of 63 who do not know the meaning. We don't know the meaning. Amongst them is this man, Abdullah ibn Mubarak al-Marwazi rahimahullah. Imam Sufyan al-Thawri rahimahullah, he says that this man, Abdullah Mubarak, is the Imam of the East, the Imam of the West, and everything in between. And that is Sufyan al-Thawri, one of the greats of Islamic history. This man, every year, ikhwani fillah, this year he goes for Hajj, next year he goes for jihad. He says, I have to go to Philistine, I have to go fight the Crusaders. Every year of his life. 1 year Hajj, the other year al-jihad fi sabilillah. The year he goes for Hajj, he tells the people of his city in Iran, Maru, says, Khwani, I'm going for Hajj this year. Whoever amongst you wants to go for Hajj, bring the money you've saved. Hajj is about how much right now? $4,000, $5,000 in Kenya. Right? So he tells 30 of you, bring $5,000 each, just for you to understand. Together. So 5,000, 30 people, 40 people, $200,000, he bring the money. He puts in a box. Says, Hayya, we have enough money, let's go for Hajj. Right together. So they come from the city of Marru, and they go towards the city of Baghdad, that is the capital city of the Muslims. He says to them, buy this food, this nice food. They tell him, the money will end. No, there's enough money. So they eat the best food. They shop. They make sure, wear the best clothes. They wear the best clothes. They reach Baghdad, they do more shopping. They come from Baghdad, they go to Mecca. They do the Hajj. They finish the Hajj. Tells them, don't you buy some things from Mecca for your family? So they buy gifts of Mecca for their family. Everyone buys gifts. He says, we still have enough money, don't worry. Money is enough. 40 of his companions. Then, let's go to Medina. We visit the city of Prophet ﷺ. Says, buy gifts for Medina. Money is not enough, oh Imam. No, buy. There's no issue. Money is there. Listen, Imam, buy. Says, money is there, don't worry. Stay in the best lodges, everything, food. Buy, no problem. Then from Medina they go, or from Mecca they go back to the city in Iran, near Iran, Afghanistan, that area, Maru. So they go back that great distance. Before they reach like 2 days, 3 days, he sends out his first riders. He says, go to the houses of these brothers who have performed Hajj with me. Go renovate the houses. Make it lovely, very smart. At least they are welcomed in such a situation. So they reach home, they find everything decorated, renovated, mashallah. This is a blessed Hajj. That $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 was not class C. This was A-star, 5-star, 7-star Hajj. They're very happy. So after 3 days, يَدْعُوهُمْ لِلْوَلِيمَةِ. He says, come all of you, I'm making for you a feast. Antum Hujjaj, Antum Dhuyuf al-Rahman. You are the guest of Ar-Rahman. Come. He makes for them a walima, a lot of food, big party. Then after that, he opens the box, ikhwani fillah, and he returns to every single one of them their full money that they had. The $5,000 that you were thinking, he returns everything. He had paid for the Hajj for all of those Muslims. This is our competition to Akhirah. Abdullah Mubarak al-Marwazi. 1 year, ikhwani fillah, he goes the same way, he goes to Baghdad. Then in Baghdad, he sees something that really breaks his heart. He sees a woman, not a woman, a young girl, 18, 20-year-old, going to the garbage heaps of Baghdad and collecting a dead duck, cleaning it and taking it to a house. So he says, what's happening here to this girl? He says, come here, what are you doing? This is haram. You can't eat a dead animal. He says, you don't know what haram and halal is, what you're telling you about. He says, tell me your story. He says, I am an orphan. Me and my brother, our father was wealthy. Then when he died, as usual that happens in many Muslim societies, the wealth was taken. People are eating the wealth of the orphans. So they, from richness, they became poor. Subhanallah. Imam was heartbroken by this situation, that you are ready to eat najis, to eat mayyit, and you're in this state. There's no Hajj for me this year. This is more wajib than my Hajj. And he gives the money to the lady and goes back. This is the authentic story, ikhwani fillah, before you think I'm bringing some khurafat or some weird stories. It's mentioned by the scholars, Imam al-Dhahabi in Sirah Alam al-Nubala, and many other scholars. He says Imam Abdullah Mubarak goes back home tomorrow. The people have performed the Hajj. They've come back in the month of Muharram or Safar. I think Muharram or so. They say to him, congratulations. May Allah accept your Hajj. What Hajj are you guys talking about? I was in Marw all the time. He says, may Allah accept your Hajj, your ibadah. Taqabbalallahu minna wa minkum sa'ala a'mal. He says, أنتم مجانين. Are you crazy? I was here all that time. What are you guys talking about? فنام تلك الليلة. He slept that late night and he was told in his dream, Abshiru, glad tidings. Allah sent an angel to perform Hajj on your behalf, and the angel took your face. This is the Imam Abdullah Mubarak al-Marwazi rahimahullah. Our competition to the Day of Judgment, our competition to Akhirah. Ikhwani fillah, Ramadan comes. Some Muslims in Ramadan, you have someone like Imam Shafi'i. Just for us to know, this is Firdaus. You know, some people sometimes they ask Firdaus. Yes, dua is excellent, but you have to work for that Firdaus. You have someone like Imam Muhammad ibn Idris al-Shafi'i rahimahullah, died in the year 204 of the Hijri calendar. In the month of Ramadan, he finishes Quran once in the day and once at night. 604 pages during the day and night. 60 times he finishes the Quran in the month of Ramadan. Imam Abu Hanifa, 60 times. Imam Bukhari, 40 times. The Khalifa Abdul Malik ibn Marwan, 17 times. Al-Walid ibn Abdul Malik, 17 times. These are people who are preparing. نخاف يوما فوقاهم الله شر ذلك إنا نخاف من ربنا كان يوما عبوسا قمطريرا. They fear that day, the day that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has promised them. You have a man, ikhwani fillah, like Imam Abu Zakaria, Yahya ibn Sharaf al-Nawawi rahimahullah. He passes away in the year 676 of the Hijri calendar. This man used to fast every single day. So, ikhwani fillah, this is the day of judgment that we are promised. This is the day we shall be held accountable for our deeds. So keep between yourself and the day of judgment that which will protect you from the punishment of that day. And nothing is better to protect you on that day than al-khayrat, than doing good deeds. There's no many khayrat. Salah, fasting, sadaqah, hajj, umrah, visiting the sick, attending to the orphans, the widows. Even simple, ikhwani fillah. Just after this lecture, just go kiss your mom. Just go talk to your dad. Just go say, Dad, I forgive you. Like one of our brothers here, I remember, just in South Sea, he passed away last year. Young brother, 28, 27. He comes one day home, just after Ramadan, he finished Ramadan. He comes home, he tells his parents, oh mom, oh dad, are you pleased with me? Are you happy with me? They say, Wallah, you have our dua, we are happy with you. He leaves the house, he goes with his friends, and he dies in an accident same day. He has the dua of his parents. Always look for the dua of your parents, ikhwani fillah. Live every day like it's your last day. Live every day that this is the day that I'm going to meet Allah Azza wa Jal. This is the day that my book is going to be prepared or presented to Allah Azza wa Jal. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.